is Down Home. We're focusing on Winter's Zone, which is part of Read Across Lawrence. So we're co-sponsored tonight by the Lawrence Public Library and KU Libraries. So thank you guys. We do a little, that is the wrong slide. We are starting off really, really well. We started at the end. We're at the end. Thank you so much. After 99. That's my fault for putting two in the same slide in a presentation. Okay. So, if you haven't already, like us on Facebook, because that is the best way to get information out to you. We also sometimes get flyers, but the person who's in charge of putting them up is really bad at that. And then you can tweet tonight if you have a smartphone. We won't care if you want it. Our, what is it called, a tag? Our handle is at Nerd Nite KS. You can also handle Pachamamas and Lawrence Libraries and KU Libraries. And we've created hashtags for you. This one stands for Nerd Nite Lawrence, Kansas. And this one stands for Read Across 12. Or yeah, or you can just type fucking as a hashtag. I don't care what you do. Okay, so who we are is Travis Weller, Dave Trimbach, and I have bear gloves on in this picture. So, also is Nick Ray, and he's on R&D. So let's talk a little bit about what a nerd is. I think if you guys have been here before, we've gone through the history of nerd. There's several different origins. Newsweek in the 50s, Dr. Seuss in the 50s, those kind of came about simultaneously. There's also drunk spelled backwards, which is an unauthorized spelling, but we're going to go with it. And then the modern day version of nerd created a little, it's called a Venn diagram. And so, it's really amazing. I actually found this on the internet and recreated it, so it's not my original work. I'm sorry about that. You guys get it. Sometimes, I think that I'm a little less socially inept, but then I tell a terrible joke at a party, and I get back there, so that's what it is, you guys know. So we all kind of fall under this category of nerd, and that's why we're here tonight. So, but how did we get here? I mean, how did this all start? This is Chris, and he is what we call Nerd Zero. And back in Boston, circa 2003, he would sit at his local bar and drink, and then he would disappear for a while and go to Cameroon. That's in Africa. And not me, I don't know this thing, but he would then come back to his favorite bar in Boston, and everyone would say, "Where have you been, Chris?" And he would have to talk for hours on end about the indigo bird, because that's what he's studying in Cameroon. The indigo bird is a brood parasite. It lays its eggs in other birds' nests. And then, instead of kicking the eggs out, like a lot of parasitic birds do, it actually mimics the gait pattern, which this is a gait pattern of birds. So, aside from their keen sense of humor in comparison to the other birds in the nest, the mama bird cannot tell the difference between the indigo bird and its baby chicks. So pretty freaking clever. Anyway, so Chris, back in Boston, would tell this story, probably a lot more eloquent than I just did. And he got a little bit tired of telling everybody where he had been, so he decided to start Nerd Nite. And he got his friends together and said, we all have interesting things to talk about for 20 minutes and have other people drink and listen to what we have to say, so let's do this. So back in Boston, you remember Chris, he started this. Well, Matt lived in New York, and he decided to bring Nerd Nite to New York. And so he became the big boss of Nerd Nite. And instead of doing trivia night, which who cares about trivia, he started Nerd Nite in New York. And at the time he lived with JC, and the JC decided to move to Austin. And while he was in Austin, JC met Travis and Dave, who are here tonight in the flesh. And this is Dave talking at the very first Nerd Nite Austin. It's really cute. What did you talk about? Estonia? Belarus. Did it wrong there. So Dave and Travis moved to Chicago. There's a Nerd Nite in Chicago. They went to that. They loved it. And then when they moved to Lawrence, they decided they missed it. So with Nick Ray, brought it to us. And here we are this evening. So we're 10 months old. That's a kind of big deal, you guys. We've had so many, this is like a wide variety of topics, but I'm really excited about tonight's topics. And moving on, we are really big in Japan also. Okay, we're gonna watch this intro because this guy is doing some great, this is a Japanese documentary about Nerd Nite. I'm sorry I didn't program it to start later. Wait for it. He's gonna jump over the city and land on top. No, he didn't.
教授の7番です。They're at the top of their class, but they lack social skills and aren't very popular with the opposite sex. The correct answer is nerd.
So this documentary is 2 hours long, but it's really cool. I haven't watched the whole but you can watch it in its full glory on nerdnite.com, which is the main boss site. So we are now in 43 cities around the world, which is really, really cool. There's Nerd Nites in Amsterdam, there's Nerd Nites in Germany, there's Nerd Nites in Monrovia, Liberia, which is one of the only capitals named after a US president. President Monroe. Check it.
You are a nerd.
I just dropped the mic and left. You can listen in your heads. You can listen to other Nerd Nites from around the world on the Nerd Nite podcast, and that is at podcast.nerdnite.com. It's really cool. If you work at home, just do it. Speaking of big, next month we are moving to the Alton Fall. Okay, that's it. It's Wednesday, October 10th. It's going to be a Lawrence-centered event. We're partnering with different museums around Lawrence. It's going to be super cool. Tell all your friends. There's little cards on the table if anyone's stealing from you that you can share with people. We really want to get people out to that event, so come and get it. Let's see what's next. So, okay, thank you so much. To Pachamamas Star Bar, you guys are amazing. Deb and Chris, top of the hat to you, or something like that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you to KU Libraries and Lawrence Public Library for co-sponsoring tonight. And thank you to you for coming. You give yourselves a hand too.